What's going on, Ravens fans? Welcome into the show. My name is Joey Peterson. On today's program, we are going to dive into an ESPN article that listed out the top 15 NFL trade candidates to keep your eye on over the next couple of months before the start of the 2026 NFL season. But before I tell you about who may or may not be on the chopping block, I want to know who you think is on the chopping block. Name a Raven you want to ship out of Baltimore, okay? Down below in the comments section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video, which means very top of the comment section. Go ahead, reply to that for me. Name a Raven you want gone and out of Charlotte City. A little bit of a spoiler alert. Not a single Baltimore Raven made this list. So we're not going to talk about trading any away Baltimore Ravens. However, Baltimore was named in multiple trade discussions as a, quote, possible team fit. So that's what we're going to start by breaking down on today's show. And we are going to start with none other than a wide receiver out of Miami, Jaylen Waddle. That is correct. The Baltimore Ravens were named by ESPN as a possible trade destination and team fit for the wide receiver out of Miami. And if that's the case, man, I would be pretty dang excited about it. I absolutely love Jaylen Waddle. I think he is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the National Football League. The thing I wouldn't like about Jaylen Waddle with how he fits with Baltimore is 5'10", 185 pounds, kind of a similar size to a lot of the wide receivers we've seen on this roster. You all know I would prefer a bigger outside wide receiver for Lamar Jackson to have for a change. However, I would not be mad at all about Jaylen Waddle. And what we know about Miami is they've got a new regime. Wouldn't be surprised if they went on some sort of a fire sale. As we know, they already cut Bradley Chubb. They cut Tyreek Hill. Could they be wanting to trade Jaylen Waddle to really get the full rebuild going, as they also are going to be starting with a new quarterback because Tua Tagovailoa is out of there very, very soon as well. ESPN's percent chance that it happens, they say 10%. So they don't think it's incredibly likely that Waddle ends up getting dealt, but if he does, they do list the Baltimore Ravens as a possible landing spot for him. Another wide receiver, a guy we've talked about a decent bit on this channel. That is one A.J. Brown, wide receiver with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jeremy Fowler reported a couple of months ago that these trade discussions with A.J. Brown are legitimate. A.J., Derrick Henry played football together for the Tennessee Titans. We talked a lot about Derrick Henry kind of trying to do his best of recruiting A.J. Brown, and it's for a good reason because this dude is an absolute stud. 6'1", 226, he's massive. 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns this last year for the Eagles in a Kevin Patullo offense that pretty much had him running nothing but hitches. I think he wants out of Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia wants him out of Philadelphia. And I would not mind his fit one bit with the Baltimore Ravens. ESPN thinks this is a decent chance to happen. Not necessarily to Baltimore, but him getting traded. They put all the way up to 60%. I think you could get A.J. Brown with Rashad Bateman and maybe a high draft pick in there as well. I think that would get the deal done, okay? And for that, man, I'd be incredibly interested. Not a wide receiver, but it's a pass catcher. Sam LaPorta, tight end out of Detroit. Obviously, Declan Doyle wasn't in Detroit with Sam LaPorta and Ben Johnson. However, he did learn a lot offensively from Ben Johnson, who did get to work for some time with Sam LaPorta as well. Had a decent 2025, spent a good bit of it injured, but still is a tight end that a lot of people look at that can be a really dominant one across the National Football League. Isaiah Likely is going to be gone in free agency. Charlie Kolar could as well. You got Mark Andrews back, but you need more tight ends in that roster because Declan Doyle likes to use them kind of as the fullback position. He likes guys who can block but also be a threat with the ball in their hands over the traditional football or fullback like a Patrick Ricard. ESPN's chance that happens, though, is low. They say 10%. So similar vein as to Waddle. But, of course, like all these guys, they did list the Baltimore Ravens as a possible team fit. Pick one of these three guys to trade for down below in the comment section. Give me a JW, AJ, or SL. Okay, let me know where you stand. Let me know where you're going if you're picking one to trade for. If I were to do so, I think I'm picking A.J. Brown. Well, let me know your answer. Let's get into the questions, into our mailbag coming up on today's show. Starting off with Jonathan Diaz, 1259. In my opinion, Ravens need to go get Vega And then edge, R. Mason Thomas, Zion Young, and then Darrell Jackson Jr. in third. Jonathan, you might need to be the new Baltimore Ravens general manager, because if this is the way that things shape up, I will be very, very excited about that. You hit trenches often. You hit trenches early. You get your help at, offensive line. Then you get an edge rusher. Then you get a defensive tackle. Darrell Jackson Jr., biggest hands in the history of the NFL Combine. There's a lot to like about all three of those players. I said this on our live show on Thursday evening, that if I had to make my pick, like gun to my head right now, I would think the Baltimore Ravens end up going with Vega Ioane in the first round. Jonathan, this is a great idea. Beerman, what's more important, O-line or edge? I think O-line, because I'm going to look at it in two ways, okay? What are there more of in free agency? Good offensive linemen that you can trust in, or good edge rushers? I think you can get some good edge rushers in free agency. I don't know about the same with offensive line. So I would rather use my first-round pick on O-line than edge. But frankly, Beerman, it's one of those things that I would just take best player available in that situation, okay? So if you've got an edge rusher, if you've got an offensive tackle, if you've got an offensive lineman, okay, who's the best available at all those positions? Get that guy. That's all I'm looking for. Go trenches in round one, but get the best player available in the trenches. Cardinals are good. Who do you think will be most important in free agency? So I'm going to answer this in the vein of who's most important to keep and who's most important to go sign. I think most important to keep is Tyler Linderbaum, although it seems every single day his price tag just keeps growing. It seems more and more unlikely that he will be staying with the Baltimore Ravens. But that's my most important to keep. Most important to go out and get, I wouldn't mind Jalen Phillips from Philadelphia this last year. Wouldn't mind him one bit. John Franklin Myers, defensive tackle out of Denver. If Michael Pittman Jr. ends up getting cut, wide receiver with the Colts, I'd love that one. I think he's going to be a free agent decently soon. So there's a lot of really good options. You know what else is a great option? Our friends over at Ethos. My wife, Kennedy, and I got married almost 2 years ago. I imagine we'll buy a house and start having kids maybe sometime soon. If something were to happen to me, the last thing I want the people I love to worry about is being able to pay the bills. So I trust Ethos to keep them protected. After watching someone close to me go through loss, I saw how quickly grief can turn into financial stress. That experience changed how I think about protecting my family. Life insurance isn't about expecting the worst, but it's about making sure the people you love are supported no matter what. That's why I recommend life insurance through Ethos. You can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. Ethos is 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Help protect your family with life insurance through Ethos. Get your instant free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times and rates may vary. We come back to answer a question from I'm Still Zeno. What is your prediction on if Madubuike comes back to play or not? My prediction is he will. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with him on social media, but he's tweeting pretty cryptically, like good news, prayer hands emojis. And it all leads me to believe he's gotten some good news over the last couple of months that he'll be able to play in 2026. Now, if you would have asked me 3 months ago to make a prediction, I would have said he doesn't. But as we sit right here, last day of February, I think Nnamdi Madubuike plays for the Ravens next season. Kimberly Harmon, how many sacks will the Ravens defense get in 2026? I'm going to say, let me see how many they had this last year, okay? I know it was not a lot at all. They're going to improve because, in my opinion, just adding in Jesse Minter, they have no choice but to improve in that aspect because, they were just not very good this last year when it came to the sacks. I think that they had somewhere around mid-40s in 2025. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit to get it up. Let's see. Total sacks, 30. Oh, my gosh. I'm going to say 51, okay? That is my prediction, Kimberly Harmon. Baltimore Ravens, 51 sacks in 2026. Sticky Slick Billy. Who are the top edge rushers you think the Ravens could actually go after? Okay, the NFL draft. I would love Reuben Bain or David Bailey Jr., but I don't think either of those guys fall. I don't know if there's an edge rusher that you could get at 14 that I'd be absolutely in love with. Keldrick Falk is interesting to possibly trade back for. Cassius Howell is interesting to possibly trade back for. Zion Young is interesting in the second round. That's kind of it for me when it comes to the NFL draft. If Bailey or Bain fall to like 10, I would trade up for either of those guys, okay? And I would do it without thinking twice. I do the same for Olaivavega Ioane, okay? That's just kind of my thoughts. Sticky, slick, Billy. Corey3977, opinion on Tyson and Lemon. I like Lemon most, but I would like Tyson's fit in Baltimore's offense the most, just because he's a bigger wide receiver. But I do think Mekhi Lemon's the best wide receiver in this draft. I think Jordan Tyson's the second best wide receiver in this draft. I'm not a big Cardinal Tate fan. I've kind of been pretty outspoken about that. I think that when you pride yourself on being a contested catch wide receiver, that kind of doesn't fly as much in the NFL. It's about getting open. It's about route running. You can moss corners in college football, but like, will you be able to do that in the NFL? I don't think so. Phew! Chris Byron's question so good it's got me sneezing. What would it cost for A.J. Brown? Our final question on today's show. I think it would cost a player probably a first, maybe like a second, fourth, and a player. I would like to think a first round's got to be thrown in there, though. Yeah. I mean, it's A.J. Brown. I get that he's getting older, but he is still a dominant wide receiver in the National Football League. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they know that, okay? I promise you. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on our mailbag. Hope you guys are having an awesome Saturday. We will be back tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday. We're always here, okay? So make sure to lock us in. Hit that subscribe button.